There are moments in NBA history that go beyond just basketball. Moments that define the heart, soul, and sheer will of a player who refuses to bow down to the odds. One of those unforgettable moments came on June 6, 2001, when Allen Iverson, the 6-foot guard from Georgetown, stood face-to-face against two of the most dominant players of his era, Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. This wasn't just a game. It was a battle of willpower, skill, and raw determination. And that night, Iverson delivered one of the most legendary performances in NBA Finals history, dropping 48 points on the mighty Los Angeles Lakers, handing them their first and only loss of that year's playoffs. To understand how special that night was, you have to understand who Allen Iverson was. He wasn't supposed to make it this far. Born and raised in Hampton, Virginia, Iverson's life was filled with struggle. He faced poverty, trouble with the law, and countless doubters who said he was too small, too reckless, and too unpredictable to ever make it big in the NBA. But Iverson's story was built on defying expectations. What he lacked in height, he made up for with unmatched speed, agility, and a fearless heart. When he entered the league in 1996 as the number 1 overall pick by the Philadelphia 76ers, he was immediately thrown into comparisons with the greats. Yet, no one truly believed he could stand toe-to-toe with the likes of Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, especially on basketball's biggest stage, the NBA Finals. The 2000-2001 season was a masterpiece for Iverson. He won the league MVP award, carried the Sixers to a 56-26 record, and led the NBA in scoring with 31.1 points per game. But the road to the finals wasn't easy. Philadelphia had to battle through physical wars against the Toronto Raptors and Milwaukee Bucks, both series going the distance. Iverson was exhausted, bruised, and beaten down, but not broken. Across the court, the Lakers were an unstoppable force. Shaquille O'Neal was in his absolute prime, dominating the paint like no one else, while Kobe Bryant was rapidly evolving into one of the most lethal guards in basketball. Together, they were destroying everyone in their path, sweeping through Portland, Sacramento, and San Antonio without dropping a single game. They entered the finals 11-0, hungry to cap off one of the most dominant playoff runs ever. Nobody gave Philadelphia a chance. The Lakers were bigger, stronger, and deeper. They had two of the top 5 players in the world and a Hall of Fame coach in Phil Jackson. The Sixers, on the other hand, had Iverson and a group of hard-working role players, guys like Dikembe Mutombo, Eric Snow, Aaron McKie, and Tyrone Hill. On paper, it wasn't even supposed to be a contest. But Allen Iverson didn't care about paper. He wasn't interested in logic, size, or odds. He played with heart, and that night, the world witnessed it in full force. Game 1 was held at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. The Lakers were expected to steamroll the Sixers, and early on, it looked like they might. Shaq was dominating inside, and Kobe was hitting his shots. But Iverson came out swinging. From the opening tip, he attacked the Lakers' defense like a man possessed. He hit impossible fadeaways, slashed through double teams, and scored on fearless drives against O'Neal's towering presence. Every bucket seemed to silence the crowd, just a little more. The Sixers led by as many as 15 points early, but the Lakers, being the powerhouse they were, clawed back. By the fourth quarter, the game was tied. The tension was electric. The game went into overtime, and that's when Iverson took over. He scored 7 straight points to seal the victory, finishing with 48 points, 6 assists, and 5 steals. But one moment would define the entire night: the step over. Late in overtime, with the Sixers up, Iverson crossed up Lakers guard Tyronn Lue, drained a jumper in his face, and then stepped right over him as he walked away. That image became one of the most iconic moments in NBA history, a symbol of defiance and confidence. It wasn't just about scoring, it was about sending a message. That step over said, "I'm not afraid of anybody. Not Shaq, not Kobe, not the Lakers, not the world." What makes that game even more remarkable is how Iverson managed to outshine both Shaq and Kobe, even for one night. Shaquille O'Neal was his usual dominant self, scoring 44 points with 20 rebounds. But Kobe struggled. He shot just 7 of 22 from the field and finished with 15 points. The Lakers tried everything, throwing multiple defenders at Iverson, switching Kobe onto him, even using double and triple teams. But nothing worked. Iverson was in his zone, the kind of rhythm only the great ones ever find. Every move he made was electric, every basket defiant. After the game, reporters asked Iverson how he managed to do it. He simply said, "We just believed in ourselves. Nobody thought we could win this game, but we did." That was Iverson in a nutshell. Belief, passion, and fight. His performance was so powerful that even Shaq, who rarely gave opponents credit, later admitted, "That little guy was fearless. He didn't back down from anybody." Of course, reality eventually caught up. The Lakers adjusted and went on to win the next 4 games, taking the series 4-1 and securing their second straight championship. But no one remembers that series as a typical Lakers domination. They remember Game 1, because that was the night Allen Iverson, a 6-foot guard weighing just 165 pounds, walked into the Lions' den and dropped 48 on the most dominant team of the era. That was the night he made the world believe in heart over height, spirit over size, and passion over power. Even Kobe Bryant, years later, would speak about his respect for Iverson. He admitted that Iverson was one of the toughest players he ever had to guard. "He was relentless," Kobe said. "He didn't care who you were. He came at you every possession." And that's the truth. Iverson didn't just play the game, he embodied it. He turned basketball into poetry, filled with grit, pain, and triumph. That one victory might have been the only win the Sixers got in the finals, but it became one of the most iconic upsets in NBA history. It wasn't about a championship ring, it was about legacy. That night, Iverson's performance earned him eternal respect. He gave fans one of the greatest underdog stories ever told. The image of him stepping over Tyronn Lue remains one of the most replayed clips in sports history, a lasting symbol of confidence, rebellion, and fearlessness. What makes that game so legendary is that Iverson didn't just beat Kobe and Shaq. He beat the idea that greatness is measured only by size, strength, or championship rings. He reminded the world that sometimes greatness is measured by heart. It was a moment when the smallest guy on the court had the biggest impact. Years later, fans still talk about that game as if it happened yesterday. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement. The 2001 Lakers were unstoppable, but for one night, Allen Iverson made them look human. For one night, he stood taller than Shaq, tougher than Kobe, and prouder than anyone else in the arena. That's what legends do. They find their moment and seize it. As the years went by, Iverson's career would have its ups and downs. He never won an NBA championship, but he left behind something even more powerful, a legacy of authenticity. He played every game like it was his last, wore his emotions on his sleeve, and never pretended to be anything he wasn't. That's why fans loved him, and why even his rivals respected him. So, when you look back at that magical night in June 2001, remember, it wasn't just about basketball. It was about defiance. It was about heart. It was about a man who, against all odds, went into the House of Giants and walked out a hero.
I mean, you can go in the locker room and look at the mirror and feel good about yourself, and that's important. But when you don't leave it all out there, then, kind of feel like, you as a person is kind of suspect.
Allen Iverson didn't need a championship ring to prove his greatness. He did it with one unforgettable performance, one unforgettable crossover, and one unforgettable step over. That was the night the world witnessed something special. The night Allen Iverson destroyed Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, not with power, but with pure heart and unshakable will. A night that proved that legends aren't always the tallest or the strongest. They're the ones who refuse to quit, no matter how big the challenge. And that, right there, is why Allen Iverson will forever be remembered as one of the fiercest competitors the game has ever seen. If you enjoyed this breakdown of one of the most legendary performances in NBA history, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story about the greatest moments in basketball history. Because this is what makes the game beautiful.